In a situation that caught me completely off guard, it turned out there wasn't a spot reserved for me during a family trip I was hesitant about from the start. This journey was meant to take us to a luxurious hotel, a setting I was not eagerly anticipating. My husband, Henry, seemed to ignore the obvious tension directed towards me and chose to walk away, promising we'd reconnect at the hotel's checkout. Left alone, I watched as they vanished into the opulence of the hotel. My name is Olivia, and this year marked my 32nd birthday. I'm a stay-at-home mom, sharing my life with Henry, my mother-in-law Sophia, and my 5-year-old son, Jack. Henry and I first crossed paths on a blind date 5 years back, leading us to tie the knot and enjoy what appeared to be a loving and dispute-free life, at least in the eyes of our neighbors. Our bliss was further solidified 4 years into our marriage with the birth of our son, Jack. Despite his busy schedule, Henry was a hands-on dad, contributing significantly to childcare, leaving me with no real grievances. Our household dynamics took a hit about 3 months ago following the death of my father-in-law, necessitating Sophia's move into our home. It had been ages since I last saw her, with our only encounters being at our wedding and a visit to announce our engagement. Unfortunately, my initial impressions of Sophia were far from favorable, in stark contrast to the warmth and kindness shown by my father-in-law. Sophia's skepticism about my suitability as Henry's wife was palpable, questioning his choice in me and predicting a future filled with challenges. Despite Henry's efforts to win her over, her disapproving gaze lingered. Eventually, she conceded, influenced by her husband and Henry, though her upfront criticisms in my presence were hard to forget and remain a point of contention to this day. Feeling a bit anxious about how things would pan out, I decided to adopt a positive attitude and do my best to get along with Sophia once she moved in with us. When she arrived, along with her things, I jumped in to help with the unpacking. Sophia was surprisingly sweet with Jack, who had just turned 5, showering him with attention while Henry and I sorted through her belongings. I took charge of organizing the smaller items while Henry handled the heavier lifting. The process was pretty smooth, and before I knew it, only a few bits and pieces were left for me to arrange. During the unpacking, I placed a fake plant in a spot I thought would brighten up the room. However, Sophia questioned my choice, suggesting a different location. Her tone felt a bit harsh, but I brushed it off, thinking maybe she just had a strong opinion about room aesthetics. I moved the plant without arguing, hoping to keep the peace. Meanwhile, Sophia spent some time with Jack and then turned her attention to the TV, leaving me to juggle watching Jack and finishing up the unpacking. Henry was taking a well-deserved break after all the heavy lifting, so I didn't want to disturb him. I wrapped up with a mix of emotions, trying to convince myself that Sophia was just adjusting to her new surroundings, which helped me set aside my growing irritation. However, Sophia's critiques became a daily occurrence. One morning, after getting up early to prepare breakfast for everyone, I decided to take a short break. That's when Sophia commented on the state of the house, urging me to clean instead of resting. Her relentless criticism, combined with her absence during the day and lack of contribution, started to wear me down mentally. I eventually brought up my concerns to Henry, hoping for some support, but his response was disappointing. He suggested I should be more understanding, considering the recent loss of his father. His lack of intervention left me feeling helpless and alone. My nights ended with me lying in bed, overwhelmed and on the brink of tears, thinking about my situation. On one such night, Jack's cries broke the silence, but my exhaustion made it difficult to get up immediately. That's when Sophia burst into my room, berating me for not tending to my son right away, accusing me of neglecting my responsibilities as a mother. Her words stung, but wanting to avoid further conflict, I silently got up and went to comfort Jack, carrying the weight of the day's tensions with me. That night, sleep evaded me entirely. With Henry having the day off, I mulled over what special dish to prepare for lunch, wanting to make something delightful for everyone. As I was considering my options, Sophia began to get lunch ready. When she laid out the meals, it became apparent that a plate was missing mine. I've prepared food for Henry, who works tirelessly, and my beloved grandson. Naturally, there's nothing for you. You'll have to fend for yourself, she declared. This left me feeling utterly humiliated. It dawned on me then her actions weren't just harsh admonitions. They were deliberate acts of bullying, a realization that hit me hard. I had always tried to see Sophia's behavior as tough love, thinking maybe she was pushing me to be a better partner for Henry. Without this perspective, I felt like I would crumble under the pressure. Unable to retort and feeling increasingly isolated, I poured my heart out to a childhood friend after dropping Jack off at daycare. "This is outright bullying. How are you managing to cope?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. Sharing the ordeal with her, I found myself breaking down, unable to hold back tears any longer. My friend's support was unwavering. "You're stronger than you realize, and you'll get through this. Let's think of a plan," she encouraged, giving me a glimmer of hope. Though our conversation was brief, it lifted a weight off my shoulders. Following her advice, I decided to discreetly record the daily goings-on at home. I picked up an affordable recorder on my way back from picking up Jack and set it up in a hidden spot at home. Amidst my cleaning spree, I stumbled upon a piece of paper that had slipped out of one of Sophia's drawers. It was a personal loan agreement with a staggering sum of $20,000. Shocked but realizing its potential significance, I pocketed the document. Later that evening, with Sophia back and Henry returning just in time for dinner, we sat down to the usual setting Sophia's complaints. Out of the blue, she mentioned a discount coupon for a luxurious spa hotel she had received from a friend, clearly hinting she wanted to use it. Henry was instantly supportive of the idea, and even Jack seemed thrilled at the prospect. This unexpected turn of events seemed to offer a brief respite from the tension at home, sparking a mix of emotions within me. Truthfully, I wasn't excited at the thought of joining them on the trip, anticipating nothing but discomfort for myself. Yet, surprisingly, Sophia extended an invitation my way, acknowledging my hard work around the house with an offer to tag along. Her unexpected gesture left me stunned, considering her usual behavior towards me. For a moment, I dared to hope her intentions were genuine, not spiteful. That night, I found myself restless, weighing the pros and cons of accepting the invitation. Henry approached me with a plea, expressing his desire for me to accompany them. He explained his dilemma. He couldn't rely on his mother to watch Jack, and managing our son alone on the trip would be too challenging. My frustration with how he had overlooked his mother's treatment towards me bubbled to the surface. "You've never stood up for me against your mother's unfair treatment. Why should I agree to this?" I retorted, leaving Henry at a loss for words. However, he was persistent, leading me to lay down my terms if I were to consider joining them. In a moment of revelation, I showed him the personal loan agreement I had discovered in Sophia's room, revealing her $30,000 debt. Henry was visibly shocked, unable to fathom his mother's financial burden. He proposed that we assist in settling the debt, a request that put me in a difficult position. Given Sophia's behavior towards me, I was initially reluctant to offer any help. Yet, Henry's earnest plea led me to propose my own conditions for any assistance and my participation in the trip. My demands were clear. Henry needed to intervene whenever Sophia mistreated or overly criticized me. Additionally, I insisted on establishing clear rules for Sophia's behavior to be written and displayed throughout the house. If she failed to adhere to these terms, we would have no choice but to ask her to leave. Henry agreed to my terms, and we decided to implement these changes after our return from the trip. To ensure the rules would be in place upon our return, I arranged for my friend to post them around the house in our absence. We agreed to maintain a facade of normalcy until the trip concluded, after which we would confront the situation head-on. With this plan in place, I reluctantly agreed to join the trip, informing Sophia of my decision the following day. Deciding to join them on the trip, I reminded myself to stay patient just a bit longer. On the departure day, as Henry was gathering everyone's luggage, Sophia immediately showed her true colors. "Let Olivia handle the bags," she demanded, a clear attempt to belittle me right from the start. Henry gave me a look of apology, but to avoid any conflict, I complied, albeit reluctantly. The bags were heavier than I expected, and managing them while also looking after Jack was no small feat. I silently worried about my dwindling energy reserves, fearing I wouldn't have any left to enjoy our luxurious hotel destination. The journey to the hotel involved a scenic Amtrak ride followed by a drive through mountainous terrain. The hotel itself was a sight to behold, with its stunning exterior and interior exuding luxury. Jack's excitement was palpable as he darted around exploring, while Sophia seemed to appreciate the decor before heading to the front desk for our check-in. As I was about to make my way to our room, Sophia's next words hit me like a ton of bricks. "Were you planning to stay with us?" "I only booked for the 5 of us." Confusion washed over me as I tried to process what she was saying. The stark realization dawned on me that her invitation was a ruse to exploit me as a makeshift porter, with no real intention of including me in their stay. "Then where should I sleep?" I inquired, to which she coldly responded, "I don't know, and I don't care. Maybe you can camp out somewhere around here." Her words were a clear dismissal, suggesting I was to fend for myself outdoors. Her cruelty left me seething with anger, but before I could confront her, she and my family vanished into the hotel, leaving me stranded in the lobby. Feeling utterly defeated, I exited the hotel, overwhelmed by the situation. Henry's feeble apology via message did nothing to console me. By noon, I found myself alone, grabbing lunch at a nearby cafe and eventually seeking refuge in an open field, hoping to find solace under the night sky. Just as I settled down, my phone rang. It was my friend, checking in on how the trip was going, unaware of the ordeal I was facing. Her voice was a reminder of the plan we had hatched together, a plan that now seemed worlds away from my current predicament. Before the ordeal unfolded, I had the foresight to provide a copy of my house key to my trusted friend, explaining the potential for trouble. After the shocking turn of events at the hotel, I filled her in on the situation. She was livid on my behalf and offered to come rescue me, but I declined. I knew that leaving would only play into Sophia's hands, something I wasn't willing to let happen. The uncertainty of her future actions weighed heavily on me, prompting a call to a lawyer for advice. I shared my evidence of emotional abuse, considering legal action against her. Although the outcome was contingent on proving premeditation, I was reassured by my lawyer that my evidence was substantial enough to pursue a case. Exhausted mentally and physically, I found solace lying in the grass under the night sky, letting the cool breeze envelop me as I contemplated my next step. The following morning, I reunited with my family and Sophia just in time for checkout. Sophia's immediate jabs about my presumed night outdoors were halted by Henry's intervention, though she swiftly sidestepped to other topics. It was clear Henry had communicated the extremity of her actions to her. Upon our return home, Sophia's outrage was palpable as she encountered the posted rules around the house. Her anger quickly shifted to shock as Henry presented the loan agreement, her complexion turning from red to pale as her secret was laid bare. Under pressure, she confessed to squandering her late husband's life insurance and accumulating debt thereafter. Henry and I stood firm on the consequences we had discussed. Facing eviction and legal action, Sophia listened to the recorded proof of her behavior, her defiance turning to desperation. She pleaded for mercy, promising to adhere to the new house rules and change her ways. Her earnest apology and willingness to reform took me by surprise. It was a moment of vindication, seeing her so humbled and eager to make amends. Reluctantly, I agreed to give her a chance, under the condition that she truly abide by the rules and curtail her aggressive behavior. Her gratitude was palpable, and for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope for a more peaceful coexistence. Just when I thought we had turned a corner, my legs gave way, and I collapsed to the floor. Henry quickly helped me into a chair before turning his frustration towards his mother, his voice laden with disappointment and disbelief. It seemed the revelation of the debt had eroded his respect and trust in her. The thought of being sternly reprimanded by her own son was something Sophia had probably never anticipated, and her frantic apologies reflected her shock. After the confrontation, she spent the day in silence, her gaze lost to the sky, signaling a seismic shift in the household dynamics. The following morning, I stuck to my routine, getting up early to prepare breakfast. Despite the recent upheaval, Sophia slipped into old habits, throwing a barbed comment my way. However, this time, Henry immediately countered her with a firm reminder of their recent discussion, leaving her speechless and retreating to the sofa. I couldn't help but stifle a chuckle at the scene, but focused back on breakfast. Henry's guilt over not defending me sooner was apparent, and his struggle against the woman who raised him was palpable. Yet, I knew his heart was in the right place, and I couldn't fault him for the complexities of his feelings. His heartfelt apology later on, accompanied by tears, reassured me of his support. Over time, Sophia's demeanor towards me softened. While she still made occasional critiques, the underlying hostility seemed to fade. This newfound peace allowed me to breathe easier, fostering a healthier mental state. To manage the debt repayment of $700 a month, Henry and I teamed up, with me taking on a part-time job to contribute financially. Despite her past actions, Sophia took on the responsibility of Jack's daycare runs commendably, earning back some trust. To prevent any further financial missteps, Henry took control of managing her finances. Our family dynamic evolved gradually, inching towards a semblance of harmony. The ordeal taught me a valuable lesson about the complex interplay of love, family, and the challenges of living with a difficult in-law. I had once considered separation as an escape from the harsh criticism and unbearable treatment, but the discovery of the IOU became a catalyst for change, offering a chance to mend fences and strengthen our family unit. Perhaps there was a touch of luck in how things unfolded, but it also underscored the power of resilience and forgiveness in overcoming adversity. Reflecting on everything I've been through, my heart is full of gratitude for my friend's unwavering support. Her listening ear and encouraging words were a beacon of light in my darkest times. Without her, I'm certain the weight of my struggles would have overwhelmed me, possibly leading to a mental breakdown. It's a friendship I vow to treasure deeply. Recalling the hardships fills me with a mix of emotions. Tears well up as I acknowledge the effort I've put into keeping my family afloat. Despite battling depression and lacking the drive to handle daily chores, I persevered. Ensuring my family had a decent life, especially striving to shield my son from any hardship, brings a sense of pride and accomplishment that warms my heart. Forgiving Sophia may be beyond my capacity, but she remains my mother-in-law, and I've chosen to treat her with kindness. Time has a way of softening the sharpest edges of our conflicts. Since those challenging days, years have passed. My son has blossomed, eagerly stepping into his preschool years. We're on the cusp of paying off the debts and are exploring the possibility of moving to a new home, marking a fresh start for our family. Sophia has gradually begun to assist me, easing the once tense atmosphere in our home. My bond with Henry has grown stronger, enriched by our experiences and mutual understanding. We're even contemplating the joy of welcoming another child into our lives. Our family stands on solid ground now, a testament to resilience, love, and the quiet strength that comes from facing life's trials head-on. I'm committed to continuing my efforts, nurturing this stability, and fostering a loving environment for my family.